Hey guys, Lizardlea here for 4 Heavenly Beasts, day 46. Here is the progress from day 45. I took a Claritin earlier. Hasn't kicked in yet, so this is fun. I didn't sleep well, and I haven't been sleeping well because, okay, so today's Saturday. It was either Monday or, no, I want to say it was Tuesday. My entire left leg, like from my hip to my toes, it started feeling like, not numb, but like tingly. Like, when your foot is starting to fall asleep and it's tingly? That's kind of what it feels like. But I don't even know how to explain it. Like just touching my leg just feels weird. It doesn't feel normal. And like I can't feel temperature very well, so like I'll put my cold hand on my right leg and I'm like, ooh, it's cold, and I'll put it on my left leg and I'm like, there's pressure on my left leg. Everybody keeps telling me I probably have like a pinched nerve, which is not fun. Honestly I hope that's what it is though, because like if this is more serious, I mean, at least it's my leg and not my arm. I'll still be able to cross stitch, but I don't want anything to happen to my leg. It feels so weird. Long story short, I may not get a lot of cross stitching done. I'm just bleh. I'm wearing one of my new favorite shirts though. Like, look how cute this dragon is. I don't remember if I've showed it off to you guys before or not. One of my friends that I play D&D with was like, oh, that's a dice from, like, Magic the Gathering. Because he was saying the numbers around it are wrong. So let's see. There's a 16 and a 19. Well, there's a 16 on this one. And there's the 20, by the way. Like, where is 19? So there's 20. Yeah, on this one, 20 is here, and 19 is in the opposite side. So, I don't like that. But I don't care, I still love this shirt. I think he said Magic the Gathering? Oh, no, wait, not Magic the Gathering, because that's a card game. There are no dice in Magic the Gathering, right? Never played Magic, I don't know. I don't know. He said it was dice from a different game, and I was just like, but I play D&D. Oh my god, my leg. Okay, I'm going to attempt to cross stitch. But if this is only like a 10-minute video, I apologize in advance. Please don't be mad at me. I feel weird. Bleh. How ready are you?
Ready enough today? You already clicked the
start. Well, yeah, I didn't try to make it quiet. Like,
have you made it quiet?
No.
You're secretly recording me for narration purposes, aren't you?
But you already know I'm recording you.
Well, not this time.
Yeah. What?
I know this time, but that means there's been secret recordings in the past.
Are there though? I'm not that good of a ninja. I usually start giggling. Well. Okay, the times I've taken videos of you snoring, I played them for you. Like, because I was like, hey honey, listen, you're snoring. He has a CPAP now, you guys. It's wonderful. I sleep now. As does he. So we just finished The Americans.
Yay!
And I got emotional.
Yeah, you did.
Yep.
You do that.
But it's David's time to talk. He does the summaries.
Oh, okay. So The Americans is a show we've been watching for, I believe, literally years on and off, and that we just started it and never finished it, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And that's not because it was bad or anything, it's just because we got distracted. It's very good. It's a show that was on...
FX?
FX, yep. It's... How would I explain it? It's basically just a Russian spy family. So like it's during the Reagan administration, and they're Russian spies who secretly got into the country forever ago, assumed identities, and have been living in America, raising a family for more than a decade.
Yeah, she's at least in high school when the show starts, I think.
Yeah, if not 2 decades. So.
Prior family, yes.
Yeah, so when it starts, they've already got kids, 2 of them, Paige and Henry, and the parents, Phil and Elizabeth, or Nisha and Natasha, I believe, or Nachta? Nachta, yeah.
It is not pronounced.
Yeah.
Able in normal English.
Are, living in America, doing spy stuff. They have a neighbor, by accident, an FBI agent named Stan Beeman. And those are pretty much the main characters, I would say. There's a supporting cast that's quite well done, quite
absolutely.
A few people. And it's good. It's way ahead of its time, I think. I think this came out in like 2000 to 2006 or something. Is that what it was? Let me check.
Don't know.
Because it was on FX. 2013. I was completely off.
Was that the first year or the last year?
First year.
First year, okay.
So 2013 to 2019.
Oh, wow.
Makes a little more sense. 6 seasons. It's 6 seasons, and it's a good 6 seasons. There's 13 episodes a season except for the last one, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
Very high production values. It feels like an HBO show or something like Breaking Bad or something. It's in that tier of like very high quality television that's well thought out, well written, well paced, and well ended even. They do a great job of ending it, in my opinion. There are some things that are kind of brought up and let drop, and I don't know if that was intended or if that was more just, that's kind of how it works. Like, you don't need to know every single detail.
The side characters aren't important. If the show is getting canceled, we need to finish up what's important.
Or if it was just literally like, that's how the life of this is. I don't know if they were planning for more seasons or whatnot, but they did it elegantly. It worked. There's very few things where I'm kind of like, well, I wish we'd learned a bit more about that, but like I don't care because the final season was good enough that it wrapped it up. The middle seasons, I think they're a little weaker than some people claim, given what I've seen, but they're still all very, 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 very good.
Oh yeah.
So, the rough. What is there? So let's see. Phil is the. What's stuff we learned early? Yeah, Phil's the dad, and he's kind of.
He's kind of becoming very Americanized.
Yeah, he's going native. There's the word. I wanted. Like he's definitely not. Oh, Mother Russia and everything. Like,
but Elizabeth is.
Yes,
she's all
Elizabeth
about Mother Russia.
All about it, and we get to learn about their backstory in how they came through the KGB. Like, of course, it's fairly horrible.
Oh yeah.
And brutal, and
especially for Elizabeth.
Yep.
For anyone watching, I'm sure you already know what that means.
Yep. And they do address that too, and there's a lot of just well-written arcs. They feel like a real family. It's interesting watching them trying to juggle their life with their secret life. Like, they don't make it a big point of the show. In fact, there's parts where you're just like, how do these people function? Like, do they get literally no sleep? Or are there that many hours in the day? Like, what was the logistics on this? They're not, like, making it a sitcom-y thing, like, oh, well, I'm going to go murder this guy and then make the kids breakfast,
Well, and then early seasons, you only see Paige and Henry a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really main characters at that point.
Yeah,
so...
they become more important later. Paige is, I think, the weakest part of the show. I don't think you disagree.
Okay, so, as per usual, little kids in shows like this annoy me. I hated her. She grew on me, but... I mean, and I'm not going to say it's the actress's fault. She was amazing. Oh my goodness. I just, her character was just so frustrating at times that it was just unthinkable.
It's one of those very difficult lines to tread with, okay, we need to write a character who's a teenager, or young adult teenager, like 16 to 19, I think, somewhere in there, depending on where in the show. And we need to make them make interesting decisions, because we, need the show to continue. There's a couple of choices she could have made that you can't do in a show like that, because then the show ends. My parents are spies! Like, that, you can't really do that. And then that also still seems age appropriate, because, like, they want to lean into her not being... Well, the problem with any young adult is they always lean into the fact that they're a young adult. And, of course, everyone's, teenagers are notorious for poor decision-making and being emotional and difficult. And, all these other cliches. And that's because many kids are. But at the same time, in shows especially, it doesn't really work so well. You can't just over-focus on the cliches. Like, most kids are not constantly cliches. They can be mature or make clever decisions. Especially, I feel like a kid like her probably would have. I expected naivete from her in certain areas, which they touched on. And when they're having her be naive that way, it's annoying, but it's hard to be upset at them. It's one of those things where it's like, well, you wrote them so well, now I hate them. And it's like, well, but I do enjoy the show less because of that, so I don't know how you were supposed to do that right. And then there are other moments, though, where it's just kind of like, are you kind of running with it just because you have to? That was my thing.
It's kind of how I feel about Dawn and Buffy, where it's like, yeah, you hate her, and you just want her to die and just leave the show. And then you get to the end, and you're like, well, we could literally have not gotten here had it not been for her. She has been instrumental in something to get us to this ending. And I don't hate her anymore, but I still hated some of the choices she made. I
definitely hate some of the episodes with Dawn, because it feels like... Well, again, everyone talks about it, I overheard something cliche, and they way hammer that home with her, because, of course, the dumb teenage kid will, go off about something they only half heard of, and they only heard the first part of the conversation. Like, they do that with any kind of character, but, since we've got a young kid, we can get away with that cliche left, right, and sideways or something, and that, to me, is just weak writing. But they don't really do that in this show, to my memory. We did watch, I only watched the first 2 or 3 seasons forever ago, and then you caught up.
I don't remember them doing that. Like, I don't think Paige learns about it until, spoilers, the 3rd season?
Yeah,
4th season? That was only current times.
I guess from here, it's going to be spoilers, because there's really no easy way to discuss. We already kind of have, but... It's a good show, go watch it. Anyway, spoiling the crap out of it. Yeah, it's...
we haven't spoiled the ending, so...
No, I know, but there's no way to talk about the plots, because unfortunately each plot kind of daisy chains into the next plot.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you have to kind of know the resolution of the first one to know where it's going from the second, because, Nina's a huge part of the first couple of seasons, and isn't, eventually.
Yep.
Well,
and, still talking about spoilers, you were like... Paige can't say, oh, my parents are spies, but she does.
Priest. Yeah, which was again, it's kind of one of those, really, Paige, but also...
Oh, I wanted to strangle her.
It is believable for her character, but it also shows how bad of a plan the entire thing was, which, to be fair, this is what the show does really well. This plan is terrible, but it does a wonderful job of establishing this is a terrible plan. But these intelligence agencies don't care. Throughout the show, both the FBI and the KGB are shown as basically screwing people over.
Yep.
Because they always promise, we'll take care of you. It'll be okay. But one more thing. Just this one more one. Just do this. Just do that. And it never goes well. And they always lure these people into, traps or,
they're working for their own greater good.
Yeah.
Not the greater good of the individuals.
Elizabeth and Philip do that to people, and they... do it both kind of, selfishly, that is their intent.
Yeah.
And then there are moments where it's not their intent, and it still doesn't go well. It is surprising to me that several people got away, so to speak. There's a couple of characters, which I don't feel like spoiling, but that managed to get happy-ish endings, and that they're not dead, or in prison.
And there were some that, blew my mind. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. And yet, even then, it's not super happy for them.
No, but they're not dead, so I feel like that is a plus.
Or in prison for life, certain other characters.
Yeah.
So...
Still bitter about that one.
Yes, you are. But hey, he lived. You're beating the spread.
I know. Well, originally Nina was my favorite character, so... technically my streak is still going.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's, God, there's so many little arcs that they did. I guess, like, to start on criticisms first, like, near the end of Season 5, they're setting up quite a few things. They've kind of got this tangential story going on in Russia, where Oleg, a character who's been around for a while, is working with the KGB, or not the KGB, I'm not going to know what, but basically a bureau of the KGB, I think, that's trying to stop all the corruption in the food distribution.
Yeah.
And there's a very interesting arc there where, like, they introduce this, like, woman who, like, this one guy is terrified of, and then she seems perfectly mundane and normal.
Well, doesn't she even turn out to be the secretary? She's not even the boss.
Right, but even then, I feel like they were kind of playing with, well, is she really the boss? And she, you know, she hides by being the secretary, or, you know, that's why no one ever investigates her, because, you know, that's the play or something. But they drop all that because they time skip from the end of Season 5 to Season 6, which kind of eradicates a lot of these ongoing arcs. But it works well, because the same thing was the yoga guy and the Lotus 123 girl. There's all these little subplots going on that get dropped at the end of Season 5 because of this time skip. And it makes me wonder, did they plan to have more seasons, but they always knew they'd time skip into their final material if they didn't just work there naturally? Because if so, that's pretty clever, because the big problem with writing a good story for these things is always, how do you end it? Because you never know how many seasons you're going to get. But if you always plan your ending to be, and then we time skip 5 years, everything wrapped up in the 5 years you didn't see, and now we take off on our final arcs, which has some of the stuff from before we've woven into it, that's pretty clever. So I want to check that out at some point. But those are, like, the only real weak points that stand out to me. Paige, and those kind of dropped plots. I feel like the rest of it...
I loved Henry.
Yeah, you would.
He was so precious.
He was so precious, yes.
I loved Oleg. Like, I loved so many of the characters on this show. They did a really good job. Like, Arcady, every time he popped up on screen, I was like, Arcady Ivanovich, yes!
Yeah.
Not only because his name is fun to say, but just because that actor can freaking act.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Everybody on this show can act. Oh my gosh.
It was...
It was?
It just, I mean, like, it was, I was trying to think if there was anyone I was disappointed with acting-wise, but no, it was a good performance by the cast all around.
Yeah, I think they all did great.
And that's what really makes the show. It pulls off an ending, which I'm not going to spoil, that if someone had just told me in, like, a 30-second summation, like, oh, here's what happened, I'd be like, oh, that's weak. Like, they copped out, they didn't, you know, that's... But no, they earn it. They do a really good job of selling it and earning it, and it still maybe... you know, suspends disbelief a little, but, like, I can buy it, you know? It was very, very well done.
And by ending, you don't just mean the last 5 minutes. You mean the last episode.
Yeah.
Yes. I cried. I cried a lot during that episode. Because it felt real. And, you know, like, oh, this decision, that hurts. I cried. So, yeah, no, it was... David and I discussed a bunch of different ways that they could end the show. And this was kind of one of them.
I would not have bet on it, though. This was, like...
I think we were fully on track with, you know, like, oh, you know, Phil's gonna sacrifice himself, or Elizabeth's gonna die. You know, like, I feel like there were a bunch that we kept circling back to, and they didn't do those ones.
No, they did not. Like, I absolutely would not have bet that this...
this is how it was gonna go.
Yeah, that this was gonna be the ending, or that this would be how they... chose to execute that kind of ending. Like, it was good. It was very good. I think the thing that this show does well, like many other good shows, is it doesn't take the obvious route or the easy route, you know?
Yeah.
And in a weird way, it sometimes takes the easy route when you don't expect it. Like, I would argue that this ending is easier in some ways. I can't get into that without spoiling a bunch of stuff I don't think I should spoil. But yeah, it just... it was surprising to me they chose this route, and yet they nailed it, so I'm not complaining.
I'm happy with it.
It was very... It wraps up everything, it solves stuff, there's a few things I'm left with like, well, how did that happen? But who cares? You know, it's logistics nonsense. Or picking at little cracks, like who cares? But yeah. So, you know, it's one of those things that I don't think they should, I can't think of the word, sorry. Whatever they were doing, they did it right. How about that? They did it really, really well. It's sort of surprising to me that there's not, you know, FX is not a channel I normally associate with really, really good shows. I don't, you know, I can't think of any other shows that have come out of FX. I guess, okay, Fargo was SX, American Horror Story was FX. So, okay, they do actually have a catalog that's a little more serious. Okay, yeah, they've done quite a few that I've heard of at least. Reservation Dogs, I think, was also doing really, really well, I'd heard. So yeah, that's interesting, because my mental image of FX is like, oh look, Fifth Elephant is on at 4 in the morning. Elephant? What did I say?
Fifth Element. Wait,
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
It was, but it's like, you know, not...
No, that was a great movie. How dare you besmirch Fifth Element?
I see. Okay, so anyways, point being, I see it as more like syndicated stuff, not really high value original shows, but no, clearly they can.
Do you think you'd ever rewatch it?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Like, it's very
I don't
good.
regret because we watched the first 2 seasons like 2 years ago, so I rewatched them when we just restarted this binge because there was a lot that I did not remember, and my memory just is not as good as yours, and I don't regret it, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff we missed, but I feel like I wasn't ever confused, so I don't know how much I'd get out of a rewatch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a ton... I don't think there's anything secretive going on. There's not a whole lot of like, oh, they were setting that up from this season.
Like, it's not House on Haunted Hill, where it's like, oh, you could see the little ghosts on rewatch, and you know what to look out for. Yeah, but I mean, obviously, I don't have that with Buffy, and yet I still rewatch it. I don't know. I feel like because it's like a spy type thing, you know how it ends, you're not anxious anymore. Like, you know, like, oh yeah, this is where they get caught. Or, you know, yep, they don't get caught here. You know, like, you already know how it's gonna go. So...
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's one of the... I was just looking through little trivia pieces because I was curious. And yeah, everyone who spoke Russian sounded like they spoke Russian.
Oh, absolutely.
In most cases, it was because they were from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
But in a few cases, it was like, you know, someone who was like had experience with Russian plays and was an accent coach. One of them was a Polish actor, and then the woman who
Polish?
One of the generals.
Oh. Okay.
And then the woman who played Nina had a Russian mother and apparently speaks 6 languages.
Holy
so yeah.
Crap. Wait, her mother?
Yeah.
Or she speaks 6 languages?
I think she speaks 6
Holy
languages.
crap. Yeah, she sounded amazing no matter what language she spoke in.
Yeah. So... Gosh.
Okay, the main 2 actors, Elizabeth and Phil. What's their background?
Oh, the actual actors?
Yes.
I believe they're American actors because they don't have to speak as much Russian.
I mean, they did speak some, and their accents were really clean.
Yeah,
like, they sounded... Whenever they had a Russian conversation with someone else, it sounded... I mean, I don't know Russian, but I believed it.
There's, Carrie Russell and Matthew Rhys. I'm going to guess they're not Russian.
Probably. I don't think they are, but...
Carrie, American actress, and a Welsh actor. Oh, he was
he's
Welsh. Huh, even funnier.
We both just went, at the same time.
Even better. So yeah, they...
I mean, they could have Russian ancestry for all we know.
No, I think, as they said, that they're excluded from that. They literally said. But yeah, it was very, very good.
Say that.
Oh, I know, I was reading it. I'm curious if...
It was good, though. Oh, my goodness. What was Claudia?
Claudia is played by... Oh my god, what's her name?
Is she American?
Margot Martindale.
Oh, so she's...
She's, I believe, American. I'll look her up right now. Anyone who's watched... Sad Horse... BoJack Horseman knows Margot Martindale. Yeah, she was born in Texas.
I mean, I I feel like she had to speak a little bit of Russian, but maybe not.
Oh, she did.
She did speak a little bit.
But she's a very well-known character actress. I think she's quite renowned, but then again...
She was good,
She's also a running gag in BoJack Horseman.
I hated her in the first couple seasons. And then time went by and I was like, no, Claudia, come back!
They do a very good job with her.
Oh, absolutely. Her and...
Gabriel.
Yeah,
I was just going to say.
really liked both of them.
They are their handlers, so to speak. There's a couple of other people kind of like that.
Those were the two I liked the most.
Yeah, they're the ones that stick out. They are the people who are like giving them their missions and that they contact when they have problems and whatnot. And it's all very... it's all very paranoid because that's the whole point. You never know who you can trust and who's out to get you. And, you know, it's the sort of environment where if something goes wrong, you probably kill them. Like, murder is a standard for... You're so far outside the law, and it's just kind of crazy how quickly things can escalate, or how often they're in situations where you're just like, why are you even doing this? Like, nothing's going well here. It's just...
And Elizabeth never gave a crap, but Phil did. Phil had a conscience very early on.
I think Elizabeth cared.
Not to the extent that Phil did.
Yeah.
Like, very, very, like, in the first one, I think it's the first season. Yeah, it had to have been, because it was... This happened when I was only quasi-watching with you. Elizabeth straight up tells, you know, the agents or whatever, you know, the KGB, she's like, yeah, I don't know how serious Phil is. And he basically gets tortured by the KGB because of it. You know, they're pretending to be Americans, trying to get information out of him. And, like, they ended up being really pissed about it. And then Phil learned it was probably because Elizabeth turned him in. And he was like, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, oh, man. Mm-hmm. Ooh, just take me back to that. That show was so good. Oh, my gosh.
I think one of the best things, and I'm willing to spoil this one, it's a big spoiler, so again, if you're interested in all, watch it, is Renee. Even though she's a small part of the show, because they use her so elegantly. Stan's...
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. We didn't give resolution on that, though.
I don't think there was... I'm looking it up now, and it was not supposed to be, basically, is what I'm...
So it's open-ended.
Well, I don't know if they intended that, but that I haven't read...
How could they not have, with what Phil said?
I'm reading people who claim that, they meant this, or it meant that, or she is, or she is. The point we're arguing here is, first of all, the show implies that she might be a spy. She comes out of nowhere, and she's the perfect woman for Stan, who's the FBI agent that lives next door to them. So Phil starts wondering, is she a spy? And he straight up even asks Claudia, his handler, is she a spy? And she goes, don't be ridiculous, she's not. Or at least not that I know of, because that's the problem, is that they never know everything. Mm-hmm. So because of that, they never resolve if Renee, this woman who showed up for Stan, is a spy or not. And I think that's brilliant, because I think it's on purpose. I'm seeing people say, they probably meant this, or there's secret... Like, there's theories that, she was really spying for another nation, because why would you have another spy next to him?
I did make that joke.
Yes, but then there's also theories, even in real life, like, spies are spied upon by their own team because they want to make sure they're not being betrayed, so she could be for the KGB, and she's spying on Phil and Elizabeth to make sure Phil and Elizabeth haven't turned. You know, so if they come over and, like, talk to Stan, they're not giving anything away. But I think it's meant to purposely be vague, because Stan gives this great speech to Henry at one point, Henry being the kid. He's doing a report on being an FBI agent, and the kid's like, oh, wow, it's so cool, your job's so cool. And he's like, it's really not, because I have to be paranoid all the time. Even though you're a kid, I have to treat you like you might be an enemy agent. I have to treat you like you might be a spy. That's my job. And the sort of soul-crushing conclusion of Stan...
Maybe
not
dating,
knowing,
or actually maybe being married to a KGB agent and not knowing.
Yeah, and it's just never resolved, and that's the whole point. Like, he's never gonna know, you know.
And that's another thing. He may not have even actually genuinely looked into it, you know, other than the FBI background check that went through normally. He may not have actually dug further than that.
Yeah.
Like.
So, yeah. either way, it was just like a perfect little like bookend for how they handle all their stuff, because there's so many other little like things that they like to talk about and show in the show that they, it's the usual stuff where, we'll do analogies and we'll do cool little things, but that one especially felt really, really well done. The parallels between Stan and Phil, like being disillusioned with their jobs, are really well done. Elizabeth kind of doesn't have a parallel that I can think of, but that's kind of the point, and that she's just so dogmatic, and
she is all about Mother Russia.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit more than that in a weird way.
I mean, that's, for a very long time, that was it.
Yeah, but they do some subtlety with it, I think. But yeah, that is the problem, is it's so frickin' dogmatic that, dealing with that later as things get murky, she's just like, well, we do the thing, and Phil is much less, I don't know if we do the thing.
Yep.
So,
oh man, there was that one plot line where, like, Elizabeth was like, oh no, we have to tell them that this person is, like, planning this or whatever, and Phil's like, no, we're not sure, we're speculating, what if we're wrong, we could ruin this guy's life.
Yeah.
And he will not let her send it, and then it turns out, yeah, no, the dude was innocent.
Yeah.
And Phil's just kind of like,
Yeah. And there's a lot of that going on all the time, and you realize just kind of how crazy it is, how... I think the thing it best shows, and I do actually believe this is true to life, although, of course, I have no experience in the area, so what the hell do I know, is that even the intelligence agencies, these supposed professionals, just like at any job, really, they have no idea what they're doing. They're winging it to hell and back. And there's all these ugly, stupid, short-sighted decisions made, because it's like any normal work environment, but worse because you can't openly communicate. So as bad as your work environment is because no one's talking to each other just because they're petty, stupid people, or they just don't think to, or whatever simple reason, now take that times 1,000 because you're allowed to kill your coworkers, you're allowed to kill people you run into who cause, the vendors or whatever, your clients, whatever you want to call it all, and... no one communicates even remotely and fully. So it just leads to these constant situations of... Have you ever seen Burn After Reading?
Maybe?
I didn't think it was particularly good, or I didn't get it. It's a funny movie, kind of. It's a Coen Brothers film. But Schillinger
okay.
is in it. He's not a star, but he's a supporting cast. And at the very end, it's another spy movie, but it's, again, comedic. And everything just goes wrong, and he goes, what did we accomplish here? What did we do? Like, why did we do this? There's some famous monologue there that's funny, but actually kind of poignant in that, it seems like everything I've ever read about spy stuff kind of boils down to, like, why are we doing this? What is this? Like, what have we even accomplished other than ruin people's lives? And, maybe we got this one win here or one win there, but was it worth, like, if we could all just get the hell along, we wouldn't have had to do this. So, I don't know. Really, 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 really good show is my take.
J.K. Simmons was the name you were looking for Schillinger, by the way.
Yes, that guy.
I can confirm I have not seen this movie.
I don't think you'd like it.
Oh, yeah? John Malkovich is in it.
Yeah, no, it's got a great cast, but it's a Coen Brothers movie, and of the Coen Brothers movie, I think it is less approachable to my memory.
I literally don't remember a single movie they've done.
You've seen True Grit.
The remake.
Yes.
I liked it.
You've seen No Country for Old Men.
I liked it.
They did The Big Lebowski, Fargo, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Intolerable Cruelty, which I maybe or maybe didn't show you. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
That was a comedy, right?
Yeah, ish. Yeah. It was a retelling of the Iliad with George Clooney.
Yeah, where he was breaking out of prison and all that. Yeah, we watched that one.
Yeah.
And we watched it and I was like, oh my god, I've seen this movie before.
I actually should probably finish out making you watch my favorite Coen Brothers films, because there's still Blood Simple, which I've always wanted to rewatch because I've forgotten most of it. And then there's you need to see Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
I will not inflict The Big Lebowski on you because I think you'll hate it.
I will.
And then you need to see Hudsucker Proxy.
Yes.
Which most people don't like, but I think is really good, so we'll see how you feel.
Okay. So basically what this boils down to, you guys, is you should watch The Americans.
Yes, watch The Americans.
And that is the end of For Heavenly Beasts, day 46. I got 3 hours and 25 minutes of footage. I'm exhausted. Like, my leg is just killing me, and I want to be done. I'm sorry. I finished a couple colors. I think the majority of what's left is really, really dark. So, later. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully my leg will be back to normal.